Welcome back to Conversations and Catapults, the #1 after show for the #1 D&D podcast. I'm your host, Nathan, and I'm joined by a bunch of nobles at a masquerade. Say hello, masked nobles.
Hello, I am Masked Noble with non-discrete name #1, and I am not playing the level 7 gnome wizard Windsor Wallaby on the hit podcast that we call Trials and Trebuchets. I am just a discreet noble at this masquerade.
Oh, hello! I'm a discreet noble #2. And if I were, not trying to be a secret, you would know that I'm Carla, and I play the level 7 tiefling roguelike Integrity Adelberry. However, that is not I. I am a unmasked noble #2. Bye.
Please pass the cheese! I eat it as long as it's rare and moldy. I am the third masked noble. Sarah, who plays Amira Marchand, the level 7 half-elf bard. I've never heard of her, but I've heard of these splendid rare nuts from Ailton Valley. My pet rare pangolin brought them back for me. Thank you.
Yes, this wine tastes expensive and I can't pronounce the name. Hi, my name is Masked Noble #4. You don't need to know anything else about me. Disappears into the shadows.
Where did they go?
Secretive.
I really hope this isn't anyone's first episode of the podcast. Oh, this will be really confusing. It would be either way, even if you guys did introduce yourselves, to be fair.
So listen to the episodes.
If you did skip here
Yeah,
from
if you
episode
just jumped
1,
into
hello.
this now.
Welcome to Trials and Trebuchets.
Yeah, hey, welcome to the show. If you started at episode 1, I know that you're not familiar with me, or with Sam for that matter, but we're here now and we made it so much better.
We've put together a brief synopsis for you. It's about like a novel's length.
There are 4 students at a magical school. They find an ancient trial and they get orbs with
9
vague
towers.
magical powers. They have a mentor.
And they have to load those orbs into a trebuchet to take down the towers, and then if you win, you get coins to then use at the gift shop.
And everyone around them dies.
And everyone around them dies.
Well, that's just true.
The people
Or gets turned into a rock.
that they meet is used as trebuchet ammunition.
Well, it'd be wasteful to just let their bodies rot.
Ew.
You brought it up!
What's happening? What the hell?
I just elaborated on the
I don't know what
implications
the
of
fuck
your
is
idea.
up with
Yeah, but you had to call them rotting.
What did you think they were,
You had to call
Ben?
them rotting and
What
dead.
did you think dead bodies would be?
I was talking about live
This
ammunition.
is horrible. This is all horrible.
Well, they're not going to be live for much longer if they get fired
Yeah,
in a trebuchet,
but they're not
going
to be rotting when they get there.
Do you think that they die on top of the arch, or are they dead already when you start throwing them?
No, you launch
Impact.
them, they
They
hit
can
the
help
tower, and then they die.
I just know that we're going to be getting a complaint about this. We are going to be getting such a complaint about this.
Oh, sorry.
Trigger warning, frank discussion of gore and viscera.
Make sure to
Sorry.
remove this part.
All of our neighbors are concerned.
I do actually have a fun little intro question, just as like a little warm up, which is just, hey, if you were at a masquerade, what would your mask look like? Like
Us or our characters?
you, and if you want to do your characters, go for that as well.
Hmm.
But like your choice, any kind, animal, or perhaps some sort of mythical creature, like a demon, or like I was about to say a bat, but that is actually an animal.
No, they're mythical
You
creatures.
believe in bats?
I want a pink dragon sparkly one
Ooh.
for Carla.
Hell yes.
Probably not for Integrity. Integrity is, less pink.
Is the
than
pink
me.
because of the pink topazes that are embedded into it?
Ooh.
Maybe.
Nice. You can animate so many pets with this.
I'll think of one for Integrity.
I want a skull mask because I got this nice card from my parents once with like this kind of like skull design on it,
Ooh.
with like these kind of flowers adorning it, and so I think a skull mask would be a very cool idea.
That would be very cool.
Muerte.
I think if I myself were to somehow be convinced to go to any kind of fancy party, I would go with a ram mask.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Rams are good.
I like it.
Would it have horns on the mask?
Yeah, I feel like, but like it would be like, it would kind of, I don't know. I think in that case, it would kind of be like, it would cover like your face, and then the antlers would kind of curl around the sides of your head to kind of like hold it in place.
I gotcha.
It's like if you combined a circlet with a mask.
Exactly.
Ben, what about you?
Well, this one doesn't count as an animal or a mythological figure, but I would love to have one of those masks that's just like your classic like drama icons, you know, the mask that's like happy and the ones that are sad. I want the happy one.
Commedia dell'arte.
Yeah, I want the happy mask because I think that one looks the creepiest.
You are not wrong.
Yeah, that's fair.
Joy is the most grotesque emotion.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That's why we never laugh on this show.
I think then that Integrity would want a Scream mask, like the paintings, like, or not the painting, like the murderer Scream movie.
Oh my god.
Integrity does have the vibe of someone who's really into horror movies.
Yeah.
Do you want to know something cool about the painting of the Scream?
What?
You already know this, Nathan, but around the time that painting was painted, and you can cut this out later, Nathan, I apologize, one of the largest volcanic eruptions in recorded history happened, which turned the color of the sky this sort of like red, ashy color for a very long time. It was the eruption of Krakatoa, and so when the painting Scream was painted, it's theorized that the reason the sky looked like that is because that is actually what the sky would have looked like at the time that it was painted because of this giant volcanic eruption near Indonesia.
That's cool.
Well, we know why the person's screaming in that painting.
Because of the volcano that
I
erupted.
always looked at it and kind of thought of the joke of like, oh, it's just a really pale person who the sun's coming up. Oh no, that I don't know. That was kind of my idea.
Oh no, I'm a vampire.
Oh, no. Oh yes, that's the other secret behind it. It's actually a vampire.
I just wanted to go for a walk.
I forgot what time it was.
Speaking of the masquerade, I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed the scene up there, especially the interactions between Mira and Adeline, which were incredibly awkward, but very good. Because I don't know if this is something that, Sarah, you were attempting to portray, but it does feel like Mira is torn 3 ways right now, and I wanted to ask about that. It feels like you're torn between, if you're trying to please Elric or Adeline. Now, is she leaning any particular way based on her own perception of what's going on? Or is her concern more about doing what's right by Delnus?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think that she definitely wants to make Delnus happy. It's an interesting thing, of course, because by Delnus's own admission, she is closer to Adeline than she is to Elric, which very, very fair. But there is also this element of Elric is my teacher, Elric grades my work. So there's very much this thing of Mira is definitely somebody who I think very central to her entire character is this thing of just constantly being pulled in different directions all the time. One of the very first things we learn about her at the beginning is that she's in a million clubs, right? And so a lot of what she's always kind of attempted to do is just to try to do everything at once. And I think that we've seen a few times now that doesn't always work out. And so my thinking is, while I think that she's attempting here to try to find a solution that makes everybody happy, I think it's probably going to become apparent that isn't always feasible.
It is so interesting to me that Delnus considers herself closer to her mom than her father, even though she hasn't spoken to her mother in a year.
Well, to be fair, the fact that she's interacted extensively with Elric is probably a good reason as to why she doesn't feel very close with Elric.
Ouch.
I gotta say, that does make me feel bad for Elric.
No.
Yeah.
Nah.
Sarah and I have been watching Ted Lasso, and I got mad Elric vibes, just this big feeling of consistent positivity and optimism outside, and then very rarely letting himself contemplate the sadder parts of his life. And that has obviously bitten Elric in the ass because he is not a very wise person and is losing his house and all that jazz, but
He's still an F on the tier.
regardless.
Once I've had my espresso, there goes my depresso.
Why would you do this?
Oh no.
But no, I think it's interesting that, I didn't even consider that being a part of Mira's character, that she is constantly being pulled in 1,000 different directions. And does she have a good read of on her own moral compass of who is in the right between Adeline and Elric?
I think both of them. I think she's really weirded out at first, right? When Elric is I need to play a song to win my wife back, even though Mira knows at this point that Adeline is not a big fan of music. I think that she's pretty able to identify that both of them are kind of in the wrong here, just because this is a horrible idea on Elric's part. At the same time, it is an idea that kind of worked for Mira when asking Delnus out, so there is a little bit of sympathy to Elric there. there, even though there is like that difference of Delnus never had a problem with musical performances in general. And then Adeline shows up and she is just the worst in a fantastic way. And so I think it is a little bit of like, I don't really want to, allying with either of those people would feel almost kind of wrong in a certain way. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, and it is interesting to kind of navigate your loyalty towards your teacher, who you obviously spent a whole lot more time with, and on the whole, like, no doubt have more positive interactions with him over Adeline, because you had, multiple there, and 0 with her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I'm very interested to see how that plays out, and to see how that affects Mira.
Absolutely, thank you.
But it's very good stuff. I had naturally, speaking to them in the masquerade, and meeting Algrim was very awkward, just as it is meeting any sort of nobility, and I know that there is one set of nobles who we are very nervous about meeting. Sam, I wanted to talk to you about Sereneth's parents very briefly, and kind of the shadow they cast over the story right now, because we did have that, you had that conversation with Mira, and I believe it was 133, or maybe it was 134, where you spoke about their prejudices and, simply put, their racism. Does Sereneth's view of her parents color her view of all adult nobility? Like, when you were in the observation deck, did you just see a bunch of Cindermans just with different names?
I feel like when it comes to the role nobleman, she's kind of spent her life around that kind of stuff, so she has seen a lot of people. I don't think it colors her view of all nobles, because there are some nobles that she's friends with. Very clearly, Philip's parents, though we have not met them yet, in our discussions in one of the episodes, just kind of the discussion of oh man, I'm excited to see your parents, because I kind of think that it's not the title that makes a person the way they are, it's what environment they're in that really affects them. I don't know if this is as deep as you wanted me to go with this answer, but
No, it's okay, but I do want to push back a little bit. Because the titles obviously do matter a whole lot, because it leads to a sort of environment that, as we saw in the observation deck, that is incredibly exclusive to others, and where people can be as carelessly cruel as they like without consequence to anyone who is considered a lesser. So I don't know. And this also is my my own personal views coming through, I guess. But I am also asking a lot of Sereneth to be a class traitor, but in a good way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think how Sereneth would view it, I'm trying not to put myself in Sereneth's shoes in this answer, that there were points in time, yes, you see the ugly of nobility, and I feel there had to have been some points for her to not be as jaded as she could have been, that she met good people that her parents would have allowed her to be around in the first place, to kind of have a better outlook on how the world works and learning about everybody else. But I also feel those people, those types of nobles, wouldn't go to these sorts of activities where you're kind of fake laughing with other people, because that's the proper thing to do, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Now, tearing her time at Wildcliff away from that environment of nobility, as we saw in her outfit change and all of that, Sereneth has been out of that life for a while now, has being around her friends who are also nobles, and then Swim, who, are all not. Has that affected her view of nobility? Or has she just kind of put in a box, and not thought about it?
I feel the second she got out of that environment, she was excited to kind of reinvent herself in a place where only a few people know who she is, and even then those people, though the Lindmans are a little bit more uptight with everything, but they're still decent people, I would say, in my own personal opinion at least. I feel she's definitely kind of put it in a box, kind of going up there and going to this little little masquerade, little soiree kind of thing, kind of brought back very suddenly, oh yeah, this is the life I lived before I came to Wildcliff, and I have to be that person again.
Interesting. I like that a lot. Now, moving on to my next question. I know I've been talking about parents this whole time, and it's going to be a very parent-heavy arc, so forgive me for using parents as another segue. Oh, yeah. But I did have a question for Carla about, specifically, there was an event that happened in 134 where we saw a very hurt Alina Hollyfield and Integrity did a great job of consoling and comforting her after her parents were very cruel about her muffins not being melon muffins. I just had a question, like, what would Integrity say to Alina's parents after seeing how they hurt her? I guess the reason I'm asking this is just because she seems like an incredibly conflict-averse person, and I don't know, it seemed that seeing the effect that they had on Alina moved Integrity very much. I just wanted to see if you had anything to say on that.
Like, what I think Integrity would do to Alina's parents?
Whoa, wait.
I said say, but do, you could also say.
Integrity's going to murder them.
I think that's the answer right there. Oh my god.
What am I going to do with you?
The 2 lemons she destroyed represent 2 parents.
No. Okay. I think that because the community that they grew up in, it's pretty tight-knit. And Integrity would certainly not want to just like tarnish relationships between the 2 families if she was ever rude to Alina's parents. But I feel like she would approach it as, let's say that they're in the same room, maybe like sort of passively, where it's like, oh my gosh, Alina, these food taste so good. I don't know why other people say it's not good, but this is terrific.
I'm never eating a melon muffin ever again. It's brand for life from now on. Exactly.
I think that is how Integrity will approach it. Not like directly like, you're wrong about your child. Your child's wonderful. Like, obviously Integrity believes that. She obviously eats a lot of Alina's treats because they are good, but that is how I feel like she would approach it, because she also like does not, I don't know, do you actually think like Integrity is like conflict, what was that?
Averse.
Yeah, conflict averse? I think so.
Oh, absolutely. We saw it with Ferdinand. I think we even see it in some degree, like her getting pressured in a sense into warlockhood.
Yeah.
I think it is something that gets her into trouble at times, you know?
Yes.
So I'm excited to see her grow in that.
Yeah. So I think you're right in that she is conflict averse, and I think that's sort of a part of me that is reflected in her. So that sort of makes sense. So I feel like that is how she would approach it. Not even think, that's definitely how she would approach it.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you giving that little behind the scenes peek into Integrity's mind. I know that you have like 24/7 access there. Like,
yes.
Very little distinguishing like boundary between the 2.
Yeah. Like before this episode, I went and grabbed the chest that has like Integrity's brain.
Her actual brain.
It's just weird.
I've kept this hidden for so long, my prized
like a chest with integrity, but then I was like, no, you should not say that.
I don't know if going with the brain route was any better.
Yeah, don't drop it.
Well, excellent. Ben, I want to just come full circle to you. As you could probably guess, it was coming. Speaking of the lemonade stand, what the fuck was up with those exploding lemons that you decided to
I knew you were going to ask that question.
Yeah, did you know as soon as you started creating combustible lemons that this is going to be a segment on CNC?
Okay. Well, I don't know what was wrong with me when we recorded that episode, but
Had you just played Portal 2?
when we were doing the lemonade stand and there was that shady person running the stall across from us, I just kept thinking, like, my mind just kept going back to combustible lemons because I just kept thinking of Cave Johnson with the combustible lemon stuff. And I just kept thinking, wouldn't it be funny if Winsler made like a lemon grenade and just like, in the event that this person was up to some shady shit, throw it and like completely destroy their stand and livelihood?
The absolute joy I felt when you brought that into like, oh yeah, by the way, it's gonna be this. And I thought it was gonna be like a weird enchantment, like something like not an exploding lemon.
It was like devised to be very scuffed, and I knew that nobody was going to see it coming.
Yeah, you do the thing of instead of like just asking Luke, all right, I want to make a combustible lemon. How should I do that here? You just start saying, I'll tell you what I'm doing, and then you can figure it out from there,
Yeah.
which I just love so much.
I'm just going to do this thing, and you're going to be forced to watch me do it.
The scary part is we don't even know if it's like going to work. You know what I mean? Like you could have made in your mind a combustible lemon and then something else happens with it.
I mean, for all we know, he could have just made like a lemon battery.
Oh, that's so cool. You can run a
Yeah.
clock. a lemon clock.
You made the first electricity.
Oh my gosh.
This is the first step to electric trains.
Oh my gosh. What if we just get model trains, but not actual trains? I feel like that's good enough.
No.
Somehow you build a monorail but not a train first.
I guess it'd be the right size for artists to like ride around on it.
Aww.
Hey.
Oh my gosh.
I don't have any specific rhyme or reason why I did that.
Hey, I was just wondering if there was like anything that gave you that idea. And a part of me also wants to like consider, and I want this to be like kind of a groupthink type of deal. How traumatized are these kids?
Oh, yeah.
That the first thing that they hear is someone will steal our lemonade recipe, and then one of their immediate thought is, I will build a bomb.
Sabotage.
To throw at them.
Yeah.
That is the level of intensity which they have had to respond to previous inconveniences, and so I do not blame them.
Literally any threat could be taken as a threat on our lives.
Yeah, exactly. Like every little inconvenience so far has been a life or death situation where we have had to either kill something or like run away after badly wounding something. So at this point, the minor inconvenience that we've been dealing with the last while now has always been at the threat of our lives. So
We just need to defend ourselves.
with a combustible lemon.
we were told that the lemonade recipe might be stolen. But in our heads, the lemonade recipe will be stolen while you're dead.
Yeah.
And our lives will be stolen too.
The recipe will be stolen from our cold, dead hands.
It's like instead of them just like going up to the stall and like grabbing the recipe from underneath, I have the recipe in my brain. I don't know what they will do with that.
Yeah, they were thinking they're just gonna waltz up to the stand, like put their hand on the counter and like slide the recipe away, and then a knife suddenly just like stabs into the wood right next to their hand, and we're just like, don't put that back.
I cannot believe that Mira and Sereneth just didn't ice the receptionist up there at the observation deck with this in mind. Just immediately hear that Mira couldn't get in and just like pull out the trident.
Oh
or
my
the fork
God.
or whatever.
Scorching ray time.
I was gonna say, do you mean like metaphorically or literally ice them?
Actually turn them into
It
ice.
depends on Sereneth, really, if she wants to scorching ray or
That's how you deal with administration.
Oh my gosh.
underbow taught
I just
us well.
imagine this saying like when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. I'm turning back to this. Life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, and therefore if someone tries to steal the lemonade, that's taking away our lives, and we have to kill them.
True.
And what else do you put in lemonade? You put ice in lemonade to keep it cool.
And so what we're actually doing is making the ultimate metaphorical lemonade by icing a dude because he spoke against us, and also killing someone for trying to steal our lemonade.
Exactly.
Yeah, y'all are on some galaxy
There
brain
we
shit
go.
right now.
That's the secret. We've unlocked the final code. And now the ending is revealed. It was actually the rock.
Johnson?
We've connected all the dots.
I had like one more question that I did not prepare, but just kind of I thought of while we were talking. Now, it's been established within the podcast that Mira comes from a pretty well-off family, right? Like, they do really well for themselves.
Oh, sure.
Did seeing, like, the nobility make Mira kind of reassess where her own, like, livelihood is at with her family? Or, like, I didn't know if there was anything there.
Yeah, well, it definitely, like, it's a whole other world, right? Because you can be, like,
Yeah.
a quote-unquote, like, upper middle class, like, comfortable person, but there's, like, not only, like, the wealth that comes with being noble, but also, like, the rules, the etiquette. Like, that's just not something Mira knows, because that's just not her world. That's just, like, not her life. So it's very much, like, it's not like she's ever had to, like, worry about money, but I think there is still very much this, like, fish out of water feeling of, like, being in this suddenly community of nobles, and I feel like she's usually pretty good at being able to, like, flatter people and talk to them. So having these, like, I guess social cues even that she kind of has to look to Sereneth for what to do, I think is definitely a very strange feeling for Mira.
Interesting. Now, was the talking, like, with Sereneth beforehand about what Sereneth's parents are like? Did that kind of color her perception going into the observation deck?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's pretty accurate. Not only that, but I feel like that perception has also been reinforced by, like, going in there and immediately kind of encountering Alla Algrim, who is just fucking weird, and just Alla encountering Adeline, just kind of the entire situation. Weirdly enough, I think where we left off on with kind of Angelica coming up to the snack table is just a little bit of relief, not because Mira and Angelica are really friends at this point, but just because like this is another glimpse of familiarity, which I think is very welcome.
And not to mention, it's also a glimpse of vulnerability, which we haven't seen among the nobles at all yet. You know, they seem untouchable.
It makes me feel so bad.
Oh, I know. Poor Angelica.
There's a reason all the kids hang out at the snack table.
Like, I wish that I made Integrity shut up about that joke about her clothing.
Oh,
I regret it so much, especially after that scene.
I can't remember what joke you mean.
It's like the one where I made fun of her clothes, like, oh, that's so last season.
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, no.
And she was sad about it.
What if that's the reason why she's sad? What if her parents say the same thing?
Okay, I'm quitting now.
No, wait, Carla, come back. Please come back.
Oh, no, we should definitely move on to something more lighthearted, though, shouldn't we?
Does this mean
Such as...
battleships?
That's right. It's time for battleships, and...
Oh...
Alright, here's a problem.
Okay.
It's a good problem to have, but I expressed this to Luke while recording yesterday. I'm very mad at him. Because battleships is usually easy, because we get, one new NPC per pair of episodes.
Yeah.
And we got like 6 in this, who are just named. Like, then there's folks who are not named. So, I have a top 4 here, and I want you all to choose as a group who you all want to choose to pair up.
Ooh.
And we can decide to do like a runner-up for this as well, but I wanted to throw out, we have, in alphabetical order, Adeline, Agatha, Alla Algrim, and Betula, I think her name was.
Betula!
All these A names and then
Betula.
I know.
Bet you didn't see that one coming.
Hey.
Incredible.
This is why you're here, Ben.
I have one for Adeline. I will throw that out there.
I feel like Adeline has the most depth there that we can explore, just because we know the most about her, but I do kind of like just going off of like based on vibes of the other 3.
True, very true.
Do y'all want to go with Adeline, or is there anyone else here who catches your eye?
I had one for Alla Algrim just because I thought it would be interesting.
We could also alternatively everybody does their own one, and then we vote
that's
on like
true.
the pairing that we like the best.
Oh no.
That's
You
true.
know what, Sarah? That is an elegant solution, and I appreciate that greatly.
I'm trying to remember who Betula is, because it sounds so familiar.
Betula is the old woman who
Yes.
sold us weird Lucky Charms out of the box.
Yeah.
No marshmallows either.
Yes, she is the potion seller.
Literally, the second I said her name, my brain was like, that reminds me of Crazy. And I'm trying to remember. And yes, I was right. Thank you.
Who isn't a little bit crazy, honestly?
That's very true.
Luke is playing them, to be fair.
That
is
is true.
yeah.
Sarah, you said that you had one for Adeline. Could we go ahead and hear that?
Yeah, here's my ship, which is Adeline X Altine. Okay, firstly, there's
Ooh.
the workplace romance element because they both have the same boss, so you can do a workplace Jim and Pam meet cute situation between the two of them. Ooh, they have weird relationships to swim, so they can kind of bond over swim. I fucking hate those people. They can clearly their boss doesn't mind them doing weird asides to investigate the party, so they can go off on their own a lot and have that buddy cop dynamic of we're detectives together and we're looking at these weird swim situations. What's the deal with this girl my daughter's dating? What's the deal with this person who maybe killed my old boss? They can investigate together as co-workers. Very cute situation. And listen, sure, Altine is a pebble right now, but that's better than her old ex, am I right?
Oh,
Beautiful.
oof. I mean, Elric isn't that bad. He's pretty bad,
It's pretty bad.
but he's not that bad.
It's pretty bad.
I don't know. He's still got the Ted Lasso vibes, and that's what makes me like him.
Ted, sweetie, I'm so sorry.
Elric is played by Jack Black. How can you not find him a little bit lovable?
That's a very
I
good
want to
point.
say that you kind of took my number 1 pick, but I very quickly have thought of another one. And I think Betula and Celti. Because of the fact that they both have their own markets of work, maybe they've seen each other across the way at a marketplace, and I don't know, a nice little, maybe a similar kind of meet cute, maybe Betula was trying to get the stand ready and oh no, someone bumped into me and I dropped my book on the floor. Oh, someone's coming over to help pick it up and it's Celti. And they like bond over like their weird like magic artifacts that they've kind of collected over the years. I think it would grow over time into from like, oh hi, we both have like a similar workplace, into hey, like we could work together and like grow better together kind of thing.
You might even say a coven.
Oh no. And that's when the betrayal happens.
Ooh, you got angst in this ship.
Oh yes, I do.
Mega angst.
The betrayal is going to happen when Betula finds out that Celti sold her cauldron and stole it from her, and that's why she doesn't have it anymore, and she needs the one from the lemonade stand.
Ooh, that's good. That's good.
Ben, Carla, and by the way, like y'all can still do Adeline and Betula. This is just a list of options for you to choose from. Just because someone else chooses it does not mean that you can't choose it.
Mine was for Alla Algrim, and mine's a little bit of a different one as it usually is, but
That's the thing. We like that sometimes here, Ben. Look at the scoreboard.
I would ship Alla Algrim with herself.
Ah yes, of course.
Because I feel like she probably thinks she's too good for anyone else, and I feel like she just doesn't have time for any of that. So who better to look after yourself and to love than yourself?
Question. Is this like a Loki situation where she has a clone, or is this like a Sue marrying herself on Glee situation where it's just her and like she just loves herself in general?
What?
I'm gonna go with the last one, even though I don't understand the reference, so...
Oh my god.
Glee, Sue
did.
Sylvester marries herself in a symbolic ceremony of self-love. It's very fucking weird because it's a fucking
yes,
weird
then
show.
I would imagine Alla Algrim would do the same.
I was about to say, how do you legally do that? Like with your, how does that work?
Okay, so you stand on one side, they read the vows, and then you go to the other side, they read
Ben,
those vows.
That's literally what happened in Glee. That is quite
That is
literally
horrible.
What happened on the episode of Glee.
Why didn't they use a mirror then?
I was about to say you have like a sock puppet and you're like holding it in front of you and you're saying, I do.
But yeah, that's how it would go.
Very fascinating. That's a big swing. We'll see if it pays off for you.
I think I would pair Agatha with the djinn that was in the undergrounds.
Zanak.
Oh, Zanak?
Zanak, yeah. Because
Ooh.
correct me if I'm right, or no.
Correct
me if I'm wrong.
right. Hey, correct me if I'm right is a great episode title, actually.
that is
So
good.
thank you for that, Carla.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Agatha is the one that sold Winsler the fire.
The oil lamp.
The oil
yes,
lamp,
That
yeah.
had the genie inside of it.
Exactly. So, in my head then, once upon a time, Zanak was inside one of these oil lamps. I don't know how Zanak would have gone in there. Maybe like Agatha makes genie or jinns like fall in love with her
Ooh.
and is like, go get trapped in this thing so that you're always close to me. But then it's a good selling point that there's a djinn inside something that they're selling, right?
Mm-hmm. I love that you're saying that Agatha, who we know is this old, weird lady, is making these djinn fall in love with her in order to get to sell them?
Well, yeah, Agatha has that power, like enamoring eyes, beautiful, like
Charisma
warts
to
on the
sell
face,
anything.
wrinkles on the neck.
Honestly?
Good for her.
Yeah. You know what?
Gilf.
Yeah. And then now Zanak is free. Now they can rekindle their love. Rekindle because there's also fire involved with lamps. I'm just really pushing it here,
No, you're on top of things. I'm actually really enjoying this one.
So I think that Agatha and Zanak can rekindle their love and they fit so well together. Their relationship seems kind of toxic, but
Hey, listen, not all ships have to be positive or like healthy to be good ships. You know what I mean?
okay.
Absolutely.
Well then, that's my ship. Choo-choo!
That's about.
All right, let me go ahead and recap for us before voting fully commences. We have Sarah, Adeline, and Altine. Workplace, Jim and Pam, and also have it out for swim. They have a lot to bond over. Then we have Sam with Betula x Celti. Same line of work. They have a lot in common, but there's also going to be some sort of betrayal and tragedy inherent in this due to the whole nature of Celti. Then we have Ben with
I just want to add one more thing to mine.
Okay.
That they both enjoy torturing Winsler in some weird way.
True.
You know what? That's valid. That might swing a few votes.
Oh.
It's good that you got that one in under the line, though.
Betula did not torture Winsler.
There was a lot of confusion and fear in that moment.
I don't know. He sounded pretty tortured to me. Then we have Ben with Alla Algrim x Alla Algrim, and the most, I guess, self-sufficient is the nicest way that I can put that. We really like to promote self-love and self-care here, and that's a good illustration. Then we have Carla with Agatha and Zanak, a long and storied history between the two, dealing with lamps, genies, and rekindling old flames. If you all could, go ahead, send in your votes.
Reunited, then it feels so good. That's my anthem for them.
This may have been one of the closest competitions that we have had in Battleships.
Bold statement.
Not between two people, but between all four of you.
What?
Oh, shit.
Are we gonna have like a 4-way tie?
We were literally one vote away from having a 4-way tie.
Ah, dang.
Holy shit.
I was waiting for it to happen. So, just to give everyone a reminder of what the scoreboard looks like, before I tell you what the new score is going to be, we have a running tally of points that are won through Battleships. Currently, we have Sarah in first place with 5 points, Ben in second with 4, Sam with 1, and Carla, remind me of what yours is?
10!
10?
Minus
You're holding up 10
10.
fingers. Close. Just take that one off of there and we've got yours.
Yes, 0.
Egg.
Egg shape.
Wow, I can't believe CNC has had like 20 episodes already.
I'm going to say who is winning this round of Battleships right now. Oh, sorry. Can y'all not hear me?
I can hear you. I was just pointing at Carla and clapping
Yeah,
for
we can
her.
hear you.
Silently.
Spit it out!
Oh.
Add a drum roll.
You're so slow!
Because we were quiet because we wanted to just announce
The
the fucking
suspense.
I
result.
want to know!
Tell us!
I'm waiting for you to be finished talking.
Oh my god.
We weren't talking and you asked if we could hear you! Because we were being too fucking quiet, you dipshit!
Wow, okay.
Sorry, I called you a dipshit. I love you.
Love you too, but I'm afraid that that kind of foul language, it makes me almost regret giving you your point for this week's episode of Battleships. Sarah, you have won this round. We have 2 votes for you, barely edging
Thank
out
you.
everyone else. It was the tightest we've seen. Incredible work from everyone, though. This has been one of my favorite rounds so far. I really want to do the multiple NPC setup again, just because that gave us a lot of combinations to work with and a lot more variety.
Well, we're meeting, I'm assuming, a lot of NPCs this arc, so it should be a good time to do
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to talk about all y'all's parents and who they should be shipped with.
Gross.
Exactly. Like Serenup's mom and Serenup's dad are separate.
Yes,
They
absolutely.
separated.
Serenup's dad, ex-Winsler's mom.
Disgusting. Absolutely horrible. It'd be cool to have Winsler as a sibling, but I don't want to. My parents don't deserve anyone else but each other.
True.
They deserve turd.
That famous
Damn right.
NPC turd.
Calm down, Nathan. His name is Elric.
Oh my god. Oh, well, thank you all so much for joining me on this episode of Conversations Catapults. I had a wonderful time. I hope y'all did as well.
Thank you for your
course.
time as well.
Well, thank you.
And thank you, listeners, for your valuable time that we cherish.
Yeah, thanks for listening to us, okay? Gosh.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us, and stay tuned. We'll be right back after this quick break, and I will be joining Luke as we slide into the DMs.
Woo!
See you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Au revoir. Bye-bye.
Sayonara.
Au revoir.
Wee wee.
Salut.
Welcome back to Sliding into the DMs. I'm your host, Nathan, and today I am joined by Luke, who is selling some mysterious wares. Come on, Luke, what are you selling?
I'm selling tips for dungeon masters, and that's a bit keepsy there.
That was I can't believe it. 2 episodes late, but we're finally getting the all keepsy episode.
It's just like I don't know. There's a part of my vocal range that just gets keepsy, you know, and it shows up. It's like the Celty keepsy spectrum.
Oh God. Who is in the middle of that spectrum?
Sylvie, I think.
Oh yeah, I see that 100%.
Yeah, whose voice I can do real easy. She's the first voice I did on the podcast, and it characterized her. This is a tangent. I'm hijacking your show for a second.
Wow, already. I didn't even have to ask a question.
Sylvie's character is informed by the first time we sat down to record. I was so anxious that my first character voice couldn't help but be really anxious. So Sylvie became this really anxious character who's just like, ah, like this anxious church girl. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that bit of Sylvie lore.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. That's why you have to tune into Conversations and Catapults. You won't you won't get this kind of info anywhere else.
No.
Well, let's go ahead and dive right into the questions.
Yes.
But before we take a leap off of that diving board, I need to blow my lifeguard whistle at you, Luke.
Yeah?
Because I'm really mad at you.
Oh. Why?
So, as listeners of the show know, something that I really enjoy doing in the player section, and we haven't done the player section yet, player section is tomorrow, is when a new character is introduced, I like to play a game called Battleships, featuring that character. And then 10 characters were introduced in 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Meaning either I have to put together an all Battleships segment where it's just an hour of everyone trying to like pick through their brains for different good picks for people, which would not go well. People would run out of material for ages, and Carla would still be at 0 by the end.
She would absolutely just stall out. She'd just be
it's
like,
so rough.
Bailey Blue for all of them.
Carla is great at playing D&D. She doesn't need to be good at shipping people. That's something that fans are for, not creators, okay?
Yeah, it's just how it happens that 3 of the creators are really good at it and 1's really bad at it.
What here instead, Luke? What I've decided to do is make the DM section all Battleships. No, I'm just joking.
Fuck, let me get my notebook.
God, see, that would just become canon though, because you would
true.
convince yourself.
It's true. There's a lot of this is another tangent. Hijack. This is a hijack. There's a lot of ships that I personally subscribe to, but then do not ever show in the podcast because I'm like, these are not important. My own personal musings are not important to just jam into the players' faces here. Such as there's a lot that I'm like, this would be really great. That would be cute. This would be amazing, right?
Listen, Alma Algrim, Lady of the Woods, and her bodyguard, Adeline. Like, great match, in my opinion. That's who I ship currently.
Both creepy as fuck.
It's why they're so good together.
These creepy fucking elves.
Yes! Wait, I didn't know she was an elf.
Which one?
Adeline?
Adeline, yes, is elf.
Oh! Wait, is Delnus an elf? I thought she was a human.
Delnus is a half elf. Wraithrin, or Elric is a half elf as well. And
oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I was unaware.
Yes. Adeline is a full-blooded high elf.
Ooh.
The first high elf we've ever met who doesn't have an A last name.
Yet.
Yeah.
She's just waiting on him to sign those papers. God.
That's my favorite emergent plot. Is I was like, oh, let's just do this. This might be a little bit of fun. And then it's just like gone off.
We're getting to this.
Okay.
I have. But first, because of the battleship stuff.
Yes.
I do want to say that you did go wild with the festival NPCs.
Yeah, I have, yes.
You know, we have at least 3 different interesting vendors.
Mm-hmm.
We have Plankton Tiefling. We have Agatha. We have Benchley.
Oh.
Potions and
Betula. It's the
Betula.
genus name for birch.
That is really neat, actually. But we have those. Then we have the concourse workers, who one of which is just named Birch. The other one I don't believe was ever given a name in the podcast. So I'm just assuming it's another Birch name. And then we have parents. All of this to say, like, how detailed was your prep for this festival?
Ooh, some of it is fairly detailed, and I'm trying to make it robust in a way. I wonder if it's evident at this point that I'm a kind of, to a moderate amount, stalling for time with this fun Lemoine stuff for the actual tournament things that I'm like in the very, very, very I know I've had 2.5 freaking years to figure it out, but like I'm in the very final stages of preparing all of my thoughts formally for that. And so I've just been like stringing along this Lemo wand and then like the parent stuff for a little bit while it starts. But in terms of which vendors are here and the different intersecting things, I did want to use this as a chance to pull together a lot of plot threads. I wanted to use it as a chance to kind of show a microcosm of the student life and be like, this is what this different students would be like, and this is what actual campus life would be like for once, and like what this world is like, right? Maybe you'll understand this, is it's difficult to show in like a secluded environment, this is what the world as a whole is like. And so by bringing in vendors from outside and parents from outside and nobles from outside, we get a better idea of what the actual whole world is. Because otherwise we have this idea that
In that case, the whole world is assholes.
yeah,
Because let's go down the fucking list, shall we? We have Birch and his buddy who immediately hear that someone is like separated from his wife and then are like, oh, we're gonna spread this around. This may hurt someone, but we need people to know.
this gossip.
Second, then we have Apples merchant who is looking to just rob kids because of one day of selling lemonade, which is going to get shut down the next day because of like safety reasons. Like it was not FDA approved.
Absolutely not.
Then we have like, it's a whole mess.
Yes, and that's the beauteous part of it, is we have shady merchants. We have noble, creepy nobles who are elite and exclusive of everyone, who's like, we want to live up here on our observation deck. None of you may come up here, right?
They're literally in the upper class.
Yes, all of these things, right? And so that is something I want to show with this. And so I've been preparing for that. The merchants itself, I put some minor thought into merchants and stuff like that would be there. And then we played the episode 132, I think, which is the first actual like festival one where like Winsler's parents show up. The Wallabies are there.
Yes.
And then between that episode and then 133, 134, we had a break. And so I just like, for some reason, apples, the best cider just got lodged in my brain, and I just made like 6 really wild vendors that I was just like, I was sitting outside on a bench just giggling to myself as I wrote these dumb vendors down, and like, yeah, I was just having fun with it. Some of them were also made up on the spot, such as Agatha, who I was like, wait, where are you gonna get oil? And I was just like, here's an oil, and now we have a genie in play, and that's brilliant.
We have a third genie in play, to be fair.
Yes. But so that stuff is prepared and is just really easy to make up on the spot when it's not, because we're we're pulling together a lot of plot threads and just general universe stuff. So it's easy to have whatever I need to be here on hand. And then the veneer on top of all of that is still the potentiality stuff.
Yes, which is all like been in the back of my mind whenever we
Yes.
meet anyone.
Yes.
Like, will it even be a Jin if like once Keepsy becomes the Scott?
God, yeah.
Will it like what's gonna go on? I'm so excited.
That scene, the potential of that scene, the moment that they go to Keepsy and go, we're making you in charge, terrifies me. It keeps me up at night of like,
Does it Keepsy you up at night?
I guess, yeah, if you want to say that.
Luke leaned away from his mic to laugh. If you don't hear laughter in the recording, he thought it was very funny.
Yeah, I think that answers your question broadly, though.
It absolutely does. And I actually have a bit more of a specific question relating to the NPCs who have been not necessarily introduced. Because some of them we only hear secondhand. But I did have a question regarding parents that we've met so far.
Yes.
Now, are the parents or the student NPCs' reactions to their parents meant to illustrate what kind of folks would send their kids to a magical school? Or is this meant to illustrate potentialities not quite meshing? Because that was something like, you said that you wouldn't mess with the player character's parents, which I totally agree with.
Yep.
However, I do kind of like this unintended side effect idea that I had while in the car today of just, yeah, these parents and kids don't get along after like a year, not just because they've grown up, but also because they're not quite the same that they remembered everyone being.
Yeah, in some circumstances, I think the answer to that would be a very clear yes, there's a weird separation here. I think one very good indicator would be Alina referencing her parents being like, they make melon muffins. If it's not a melon muffin, right? Like, that's just a wild and like unnatural thing.
That's what made me think of it, because it was, the original question was because of Lindemann crying, saying this was the worst day of my life, which I'm still excited to go back to and figure out what that's all about.
Yep.
I assume it's parent related because, hey, pro tip, a lot of the worst days of my life have been parent related.
Yep. Yes.
And then with Alina Hollyfield, it's like, that's not as serious or as dire as I would expect. So I'm very excited to see more of all of this.
I think that you're hitting the nail on both heads. I'm really glad that you've had the thought or the idea of, oh, is this just like showing us the type of people who would send their kids to Wildcliff? Which I can definitively answer and say, yes. Is some of that weirdness caused by the potentiality, like mushing? Yes, as well. One of the questions I gave to the students or the players that they made fun of me for in like the initial draft of the Wildcliff like campaign like setting or pitch was, why is your student seeking solace, or why are they here, right? Like, what are they hiding from here, right? And so if you instead approach with like a parent sending their kid off to like this secluded mountain boarding school, there's a very particular kind of person who would do that, right? In my opinion, or I feel like you can bin them into a lot of different categories, but
no, I definitely agree. I think, and however, this is coming from someone who did not go to any sort of boarding school. Wildcliff naturally does not reflect my college experience. But I did go to a private university. There is a very particular vibe with some of these parents that I think you nail really well, with the type of folks who would send their kids off to boarding school to shut them away, and which is something that I have felt more and more the less we see of both Mira and Sereneth's parents. That's also because I don't know enough about either group to really like say that definitively. So obviously like that has a big, asterisk.
I think that a big contextual piece of evidence there, or piece of contextual evidence, would be for the Sereneth parents at least, and supporting your case, is hearing that they were late, right? And so if this is the first time you're seeing your kid in a year, you would presumably arrive on time to see them and like, show up.
Yeah, the Wallabies have set the standard and no one has met it yet, and I don't know if they will.
I'm excited for the rest of the parents, though.
Me too.
I'd be lying if I wasn't nervous. I went with the Wallabies first because Ben let me flesh them out the most. So I felt that was like a appetizer, right? A confidence builder, right? Icebreaker for introducing parents. And
not to interrupt, but I did actually want to interrupt with, I want to tie this back to the original question, which is, even the Wallabies have a reason to send Winsler away.
Yes.
Which is, he's starting to do magic and they don't understand that. Better ship him off.
Yep.
Which I do not think was necessarily their full mentality by any means. I don't think they were that cynical about it.
Yes.
But it's very much that feeling of, there is a problem with this child that we cannot solve.
Yeah, and he's going to go off to school, and then he'll come back and work at the farm.
Exactly. He's going to get this out of his system.
Yep.
Which, like, the Wallabies, great, but also that feeling there it did kind of, like, sneak up on you as this kind of, I don't think they've had a conversation with Winsler about the future, have they?
No. Well, we even see, this is a long time ago, so I don't know if it's in Ben's head still, but I, as Professor Doss during the exams in Whiteout, asked him, what are your plans for after school? And that was also me just probing Ben to be like, have you been thinking about this? What's that kind of thing? I do that a lot to the players, where I'll like probe the character and be probing the player. It's a good way of collecting information for me. And so the answer that Winsler gave was, I'm gonna go help my parents and use magic to help them at the farm, right? So that's very interesting to me, and I intend to introduce complications on that front, right? Because Winsler's displayed the prowess to not just work on a farm his whole life, right?
Which, also, I do want to be clear
Yeah.
here. Farm work is valid work, like it's good.
Absolutely.
Absolutely necessary. Want to put that out there real quick. Also, though, they are dirt farmers, right?
They're cow farmers in the mud flats.
Oh, I thought you said dirt farmers. I thought they literally were just harvesting dirt for some reason in this magical world.
That's really good,
This
though.
is 134 episodes, and now I realize what kind of farm Winsler was raised on was not just
Yeah,
dirt.
I think him going back and working at the farm is a very exciting thing. But I also intend to, like, Ben's very easily pulled in multiple directions, I feel, and can become very easily, like, conflicted just by stirring the pot and giving him a couple of options. So that's what I intend to do with Winsler.
And also another thing to think about is that maybe Winsler's stated intention, but if you look at like spell choice and things of that nature, it's very difficult for me to imagine how some of those things would be used as a farming implement. But that's just a thought that I had of like,
Yeah, that's just fun speculation. I enjoy that kind of thought though, and those kind of like I enjoy those reads of interpretations of everything.
thank you. Now, speaking of parents,
Yes.
I wanted to talk about two very specific parents with you, which are Adeline and Elric.
Oh, I love them.
I'm obsessed with them.
These fucking freaks.
The best. How did they even get married in the first place?
Yeah, it's
The question is, are those two intentional mirrors of Mira and Delnus?
Oh.
And the reason why I ask this is because one of them is a musician with their heart on their sleeve and is willing to do big romantic gestures in order to win the person they love. And the other person, this is not as solid as Elric and Mira being like similar. But the other is involved with necromancy, is incredibly guarded, and also a bit secretive, which I think are all things that we can say about Delnus as well.
Yeah, I think those are fair assessments.
Was that an intentional like look into, hey, here's a dark future for the two of you?
You know, it wasn't. I think I had a moment in the Elric, like following Elric trying to get Mira to help him scene where I go, oh, this is like mirroring that time that you did this to Delnus, Mira. Funny, that's cute. And I don't think I ever thought about Adeline as a reflection. Well, in some ways, yes, I did view Adeline as a reflection or some sort of foil or, yeah. Is that a proper term, foil?
Actually, yeah, foil would be a perfect term, especially if you're using it for someone like Delnus, because it's mirrored.
Yeah, okay.
Some foil has mirror on it.
Perfect.
Like it's just like aluminum.
I guess in some ways I would think of them in that way, but in the exact way that you're thinking of, in this relationship entanglement kind of infatuation scenario, I hadn't thought of it until that moment, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to remove it from my brain now. So I think that will color them going forwards.
I have a very strong bias to enjoying Mira storylines, and so I kind of...
They're good. Okay.
They're great.
You have a strong bias. I also am biased because I just think that Sarah's really fucking great at making like those moments compelling and just being like unawkward. Again, this like being pulled in multiple directions, and like Sarah does that very amazingly, and it's just like I just want to see you do that and be great at it.
I'm ecstatic to talk to her about these two episodes. I am so excited because like I have good Mira questions, and I am super hyped.
I'm so excited for a couple of things related to Adeline and Elric, whose story I did not even start thinking about until Scandal. And then there was like some clues peppered around for Scandal. For instance, Winsler found a piece of sheet music or like a program with like music written on the margin. That's absolutely the song that Elric has been making for 8 years to try to win his wife's heart back, right?
Oh, I love that so much, by the way. Like, Elric is very flawed, obviously, but there is something endearing about him of being like this kind of wacky teacher who still, I think, may not be the wisest or necessarily even the most intelligent person, but he does seem to have like a genuine care for people that he just kind of fucks up sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is supposed to be the case or not.
I think that's a good take on it. I always imagine him... I mean, I think we've stated explicitly that he looks like Jack Black. I think about Jack Black a lot, and like characters that Jack Black plays who are like people who have made mistakes and make mistakes all the time and like shove their foots in their mouths, but are at their heart good people, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's a good read on Elric. I've seen some like speculation that this is all him being a bad person to try to like get back with Adeline and like clear his debt or something. And I was like, oh, that's very interesting because we've seen him as like a greedy person, but
That is an interesting read.
uh-huh.
And that's, one of the potentialities that's probably true.
Yes.
That's the nice thing about this arc is that,
Right?
hey, both can be true.
But yeah, I'm excited to see what Mira decides to do. I'm so excited for her to talk to Delnus about it. I would be so excited to ever see Adeline and Elric interact because the dynamic of him being absolutely in love with her still and her thinking he is a pathetic man and just worthless and being like, I want to see him humiliate himself in front of everyone who respects him. That to me is very funny.
It's very funny. It also makes me very sad for Adeline because, I don't know, it's just kind of heartbreaking to see, like, it's just very tough to think about. These two are probably happy once. And I don't know, it just sucks to see someone go from loving someone to being so thoroughly disgusted by them that you are literally preying on their like failure.
Oh, jeez.
It made me very sad for Adeline. And it made me wonder if this has something to do with, as Sarah had speculated, her becoming potentially some sort of undead, which I don't necessarily know if that's the case or not. My personal theory, I've said this about someone else before, vampire. You're finally bringing in vampires, and I appreciate you for it. Or maybe she read that book that Winsler found from front to back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then again, she did touch Mira, and there wasn't any sort of paralyzing touch, so it's probably not a lich, right? No, I'm fucking. Anywho, I'm sorry for going off on a tangent of my own this time.
I love that. I love that because it's just a moment that I get to sit there and be silent and be like, I can give you no answer to this line of questioning.
I'm very frustrated by it. I want the behind the scenes deets.
I know. I love when my players do guess stuff like that, though. Like when Sarah just immediately, because it's like such an indicator of like you're paying attention to this world, you care about this world. That's meaningful to me. Sarah does it a lot, and it like warms my heart all the time. Sometimes like when the others who don't do it as often then pull something, because no one other than Sarah takes really robust notes.
Sarah takes such good notes, it blows my mind. I did have a question, and this will probably be the last one for this little bit. I know that this has been a shorter recording than I'm used to, but it's been very streamlined. Regarding your point, talking about how the festival is meant to show a lot of the outside world with the observation deck party and gala.
Yes.
Was that at the forefront of your mind as well?
Yes. I did want to show nobles, and the thing that I'm really interested in showing is we have Serenep's family who are like old money, and then we have Crow, who I think you can reasonably deduce based on the fact that he runs a company that is new and up and coming and quite affluent, is new money, right?
Which is why he's doing the big fake laugh at everyone's bad jokes.
Yes.
Fucking Gatsby over here.
So that's the main dynamic that I want to show off. And beyond just like, of course, the noble students or like the advanced students interacting with their parents and getting to see a bit of those relationships, I wanted to show off like the differences in how the nobles might compose themselves, right?
Yeah, was the focus more on how nobles necessarily carry themselves and, how they are meant to be out of touch? Or was it more about the sheer opulence that they get to experience while, at the festival grounds, like in the, what's it called? Vendor Village or whatever?
Well, we haven't seen them get anything particularly fancy there. Obviously having this masquerade kind of like mixer up top currently.
And this was also me considering like Alma being gold from head to toe. Like, was very much like, oh, I wonder if Luke is trying to say something here by dressing a rich character all in gold.
I just think that it looks cool.
It does look cool, though.
A lot of the... There's so many things that are just driven by me being like, oh, that would look cool. And then I make an entirely gold from toe to tip character. And then I'm like, well, that's kind of stupid, Luke, but we have to live with that for the next couple of years. But yeah, showing these people that are very disconnected, that's something that I wanted to show, was that they are physically very disconnected from the folks beneath them, right? They're up on this observation platform. They're not in that vendor village walking around. They're all up here with each other.
And it's also another important thing is, there's like a lot of effort that goes into getting up there at all. And it doesn't matter like whatever effort you put in does not matter if you get to the top. It matters if you actually have noble birth.
Yes.
Which I thought was a great metaphor with Mira and the whatever concierge or check-in book person.
The weirdo, that weird fucking dude.
I love that dude's voice. Like, once again, you're just playing absolute freaks on this fucking arc, and I love it.
I don't know what happened.
Keepsy unlocked something in you.
I guess. I didn't think about that until right at this very moment about that, but that's an excellent metaphor for the entire thing. Yeah, I think that that's an interesting thing. And then we can see even beyond that, that Crow is in there, right? And making his way around.
But Crow is only in there because he fucking owns the school, more or less. I know he does not own it. He runs it, which is very different than owning it. However, if he did not have that, he would not be here.
It's correct, 100%. Like, he has a seat on the council, presumably only because he has such wealth, right? Like, and so we can see the difference between him and...
Was he an alumni?
No.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't know if that was established on the podcast or not.
No, it wasn't established on the podcast whether he was or not, but I feel fine just firmly saying, no, he was not. I think the students could figure that out in like 12 seconds just by asking a single professor, right?
Oh yeah, we would have remembered him. He's great.
Yeah, we've gone on record of saying all of the department heads, because if he was an alumni, I think some of the hostility towards his appointment would have been a bit dulled. But since he is not from here, he never went to school here, he never taught here, all of these things, the department heads who should have been a shoo-in for that position do not enjoy the current administration.
This wasn't specified on the podcast, so I guess there's not much of a point in asking, but I'll give it a shot anyways, which is, were the Council of Administrators, like, as a whole in the observation deck, or was it just the noble ones? Or are there only noble people / rich folks on the Council of Administrators?
That is a good question. Sam asked about that right after we stopped recording, because they were like, dang, I forgot to ask about Peters, because Lord Peters is a member on the council and knows Sarah enough since she was like a little girl, right? So
and he's also a nice person, right? Is that right?
Yes, he is kind of nice. He's just like a old man who's kind of like, I'm the Lord of Mysteries and I can do a little magic. Please don't replace me, right?
Incredible.
That's how I imagine him, at least.
I love that.
But yeah, generally the Council of Administrators are members of the different nations who essentially feed into Wildcliff, right? So we have representatives from kind of the elven demographic, as it were, in Algrim, Lady of the Woods, and then
the different Dragonborn clans also being involved, right? Or is it just one Dragonborn?
It's just the one.
Gotcha.
Because Wildcliff is built on the mountains where the Light Suns hold their home to be, all of these things and more. So they have a shaman who is Yithriax on the Council of Administrators, because I believe the Light Suns would put a lot of value in religious leadership, right? Because they have 2 chieftains and that's pretty much it for like a formal government on their part.
That's interesting.
And then it would be like a lot of theocratic guidance as well, right?
I'm so excited for this sequel to Trials and Trebuchets, where you go full in like political intrigue, where each player just plays a different member of the council administration.
That would be really fucking cool.
That'd be sick as hell.
I think that intrigue games are delightful. I think that they're very neat. I think that I'm way too stupid to run one.
No, I feel that 100%. I tried it once and it was like
have you seen the people that are on this game? Like, they're all smarter than me, Nathan.
Carlo would just win through sheer absurdity alone. I don't know how you win a Dungeons and Dragons intrigue game, but she would.
You are alive at the end of it, I think, is how you win an intrigue game.
True.
Yeah, but it's like a similar thing to like music, how I can never do a music puzzle because I don't know anything about music. So the only time I've tried to do anything with like musical instruments, all the players are like, so this is what's going on, Luke, with like musical blah 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 blah. I'm like, what are you saying to me? But it would be like that. Intrigue is very fun. I would love to do that with the nobles and show stuff like that. But what do we do get with that might be, and what we, I guess I can say will get with that, because we had a portent from Alla Algrim, or at least from Adeline, of like, hey, stay tuned for like someone coming to talk to you, or a message coming your way, Mira, right? That's because some elf stuff, which is the reason, flashback to 1,000 people always talking about it, is the reason why Alla Algrim just was staring at Mira. That was like the thing that they would have noticed if they rolled better, was that she was only like staring daggers at elves around. Minor things, long setup, who cares?
Hey, is what it is. It's all about the shots you don't take, right?
Yeah.
Wait, is that? No, that is, I tried to mix the, it's like jazz, it's all about the notes you don't play, and you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
It's about 100% of the notes you don't take.
Fuck off. Jesus Christ. One final thing, and then I'll let you go. And, this may not be something that we can answer just yet, just because we haven't gotten enough of it. I am just curious. But when playing NPCs who are the descendants of nobles, like the Lindmans or like Philip, they're on the whole far more sympathetic than their parents have seemed to be, or at least the class that their parents come from.
Yes.
Now, how much of that was like an intentional thing of, now are these folks nice because they were sent to Wildcliff and were away from their parents? Or were they sent away by their parents because they don't actually uphold the same values? Is that anything, or am I just grasping at straws?
You touch on a very interesting thing, which I hope to explore this arc with the nobles. We know Philip's parents the Maisels are presumably more new agey. If they were lived in the modern day, they would be van parents, I believe, right? Very rich people who are like, we don't own a house. We just own this giant van that we live out of, this renovated bus that we now live in.
I'm really excited for them to show up with a gigantic airship then. Just like that has a tie-dye like blimp, and like on the actual like boat part, it has like a big spray painted wizard on it.
Fuck yes!
God, I'm so excited to meet the Maisels.
The Maisels are the most like, they're just like different, like it happened to be of this noble birth, right? But they're like, they don't fit that mold, I think, very easily, which is why canonically Sereneth has been like, oh, maybe nobility is a bad thing. And Philip's a bit more grounded than we might otherwise see. Angelica's had a very large reckoning, I think, this entire year of like, oh, I'm not going to study because whatever, I don't need to study because I'll just pass this because I'm a Lindman and we just, these things are just given to us, that kind of thing.
Yeah, when you show up at a school like, a few weeks in and then you get your own personal dorm room, like it would obviously like make you feel those things, but 19-year-olds or however old Angelica is, very dumb. Yeah. No offense to 19-year-olds.
And then on the reverse, we see her twin sister Karina, who is much more like, I think, uptight or firm and rigid about all of these things, and studious, and like, I'm going to work hard and do good because I'm better than you.
Which is such a great motivation, I think, because we see so many people who are like, I work hard, I do my best to prove myself as, being just as good as anyone else, or being like, and then it's just, no, I'm just fulfilling what we already know, which is I am better than you, and I will work to prove it, which I just love. I adore that.
So yeah, I hope to see, because Karina's not here, her team is still in Isathil, probably related to the fact that potentialities have been smushed around. Who's to say? But I hope that we're going to see some of it in the next episode, presumably. I assume that Mira and Sereneth are going to have some sort of interaction with the Lindman family. It would be really weird if they didn't, and they were like, all right, Angelica, let's go get some lemonade.
Oh, Angelica, I'm sorry you've had a bad day. How about we hey, we got an oil lamp. Do you want that?
Nathan, you make that joke. Like, when you said it, I was like, no, that does sound right. That does sound like what's gonna happen. God damn it.
I mean, that is, if I was a freshman in college, I would also not want to confront a friend's parents that I have not met before,
Yes.
So it might be much more of a, getting Angelica to get this shit off her chest.
Yeah.
Unless Sereneth actually likes Angelica more than I thought she did.
I think she does.
And wants to have a bone to pick.
Yeah, maybe. I'm excited to play and figure out what happens.
I may ask Sam about that, but I don't want to put an idea in their head.
To just, float out. Yeah.
Just to float out, hey, does your fear of making a scene in this upper class area where your parents would definitely hear about it, does that outweigh your like desire for justice for Angelica?
Yes. That's an interesting question for Serenep of all characters as well, who's like
Incredibly protective.
yes. That's good shit.
Very serious, and I think to a degree, I think Serenep definitely has this vibe of like being a babysitter, which I don't think is a bad thing whatsoever. I think it is.
No.
I wonder if that's Sam doing like a noblesse oblige thing.
I'm not smart enough. I know the words you just said, but I don't know what they mean.
Noblesse oblige is a term used, which is just like the philosophy that, nobles are supposed to look after the underclass.
I
it is our
understand.
noble obligation
Yes.
to help
Yes.
the like lessers,
Yes.
which I don't think is necessarily like a thing that Sam is intentionally doing.
No.
It's just a read that I had in the moment.
I love when those like fun things just emerge from play and falling into like those kind of tropes and things like that. It's very interesting.
It's very good. Well, Luke, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else that you want to talk about before we end?
Stay tuned for actual tournament things in the coming future. And also, all of the players have told me, I love all these stupid shopkeepers. Can we please have some more? So stay tuned for this arc being 80 parts long as I go through my fucking like character reel and try to like throw myself out there and be like, hey, look at all these weird fucking characters I can make.
Hey, Critical Role. Fuck you and your shopping episodes. Here's a shopping arc.
No.
Yeah, I'm starting shit with the folks who have an Amazon animated series coming out soon.
They could wipe us from the internet.
It's terrifying how big they are. But enough about lesser podcasts. We should go ahead and wrap this up, shall we? Hey, Luke, would you mind doing the outro this time? I don't know whose turn it actually is.
Oh.
It might be mine, but I sincerely... Here, can you walk me through it?
Oh, yeah, sure.
First off is Twitter,
Yeah.
Trials and Trebs.
Yeah.
Follow us there for updates, episode releases, and funny tweets. Also Instagram, @Trials and Trebs. Fan art, commissioned art, maps, teasers, all you could want and more from an Instagram page. Then we've got Patreon. Patreon.com/ is it Trials and Trebuchets or just Trials and Trebs?
Trials and Trebs.
Trials and Trebs? Hell yeah, go there. There are a bunch of different like levels that you can give at. Some of them, you get to hear bloopers, which is great. I have begun harvesting bloopers from C&C, and they're very funny. Remind me to send those to you once we finish recording, by the way. And not only that, if you donate at the highest level for 3 months, you can also create your own student NPC, much like Canon Nathan, who is still a rock.
Still a rock in someone's pocket, location unknown. Or like Syndra, or like Kyra. You don't have to put a Y in your name, but you can if you want.
And if you check the episode description, you can also find a link to our Discord, which is where you can hang out with other fans of the show, chat with the cast, and also react live to episodes.
Yes.
Not necessarily right when they drop, but we do have listening parties where groups of fans will get together, listen, and react in the proper channel. It's a very good time. Highly recommend it.
Yes, it's good stuff.
And is there anything else that I need to do with the outro?
And if you generally enjoyed this podcast or this episode,
Rate and review, motherfucker.
yeah, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. Please and thank you. It means a lot. It lets people find us. And if failing that, just tell someone like, hey, listen to this show. Force them to do it. Make them listen to it. Make them love us. And then, yeah.
Yeah, Magical Schools, big thing if you haven't heard about
Yeah.
it. And this is one of my favorites, if not my most favorite.
Oh, that's very kind of you to say.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Luke, thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
And I will see y'all on... Wait, I think I said smell ya later on the end of the last podcast.
I think so.
I've really got to get an actual outro for this. Can we brainstorm that?
I think that you started with this bitch of an earth, and then smell you later is very Gary Oak, and I think that is very good.
Okay, well, 2 weeks till the next episode, or even longer. Who knows? That's just
2
how it
weeks.
is on this bitch of an earth.
Bye!
Bye! Oh, fuck.